All right, we're going to start this meeting, pull this meeting to order at like 6:02. If I can get everyone to rise for the flag. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, do we have any changes to the agenda?
We do, Mayor. Just to move a couple items around on the ordinance presentation section, section 6. We'd like to move item number 6.3, which is the natural gas discussion, to 6.1. And then if we can move number 6.4, which is the federal appropriations project priorities, move that to 6.2. We just have folks that are either traveling or on Zoom late in other areas of the state or the country, so we want to get them out of here if we can.
All right. Council's, yeah. Any other changes from council? Entertain a motion for approval of the agenda. I'll make a motion.
I'll second it.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Agenda's approved. Going to move on to item number 2.1, swearing in Jeremy Louder, new councilman for District 2. All right. If I can have you come up. I do solemnly swear or affirm that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California against all enemies, foreign and domestic, that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California, that I take this obligation freely without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion, and that I will well and faithfully discharge the duties upon which I'm about to enter. Welcome to the team. Thank you. All right, item number 2.2 will be discussion, direction, and potential action regarding reorganization of the mayor pro tem position based on the recent resignation of James Horn. City attorney, or,
I can do it.
okay?
So the council reorganization is conducted in accordance with the City Council Code of Conduct, which outlines the procedures for selecting the mayor and mayor pro tem. Under section of selecting mayor and mayor pro tem, these positions are chosen by majority vote of the council at the start of all new council terms, or whoever the reorganization is called for and approved by the majority of the council. To be eligible for nomination, a council member must have served at least 1 year on the council in any term. Members less than 1 year of experience are ineligible. So with the recent departure of Mayor Pro Tem Horn, the City Council is required to fill the vacancy Mayor Pro Tem position. The mayor's position is not affected by this action and will remain unchanged until the next regular reorganization, which occurs following the next election cycle or earlier at the request of the council. So this agenda item provides the opportunity for council to conduct a limited reorganization for the purpose of selecting the new Mayor Pro Tem. The newly appointed Mayor Pro Tem will serve the capacity until the new next full council reorganization following the next election is conducted.
All right, council? I guess,
Is this gonna go like we did last time? Everybody just nominates and then?
Yeah, so you utilize the process that you guys
New
used.
process.
Yeah.
So I'm
the
going to open
appointment.
this up for nominations.
So I'd like to nominate Councilmember Ramirez.
Anyone else have nominations?
I'd like to nominate Councilman Schindler.
Okay. Any others? Okay, so we have 2 nominations open. Does either one of those that are nominated want to say anything? If not, we can just move forward. Okay. So the next stage in the process after nominations is that we start at that end and we all give a vote of support for who we support, and the person with the most votes of support will be the mayor, the next mayor pro tem, correct? Okay.
Councilman Schindler.
Councilman Ramirez.
I vote myself.
Councilman Schindler.
Well, I guess in order for it not to be a tie vote, I'm going to vote Councilman Schindler, because if not, we'll be deadlocked on a tie. So, yep. So welcome, Councilman, actually Mayor Pro Tem Schindler. And if we can change seats, the Mayor Pro Tem usually sits here. And to be honest with you, the new person usually sits at the far end.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
okay. All right, can I get a round of applause for our new council member, Jeremy Louder, and our new Mayor Pro Tem, Councilman Schindler. And as always, we always appreciate Manny's service to the community. All right, and we are going to move on to 6.3, recognition of the SNP bus for their continued service and impact in the city of Coalinga. Okay, certificate of recognition awarded to SNP bus. In recognition of your exceptional service and continued commitment to providing high-quality, accessible spay and neuter care through 4 successful SNP bus events in the city of Coalinga. Your hands-on work and dedication have been brought vital veterinary services directly to our residents, eliminating barriers to care and greatly improving the well-being of pets throughout our community. Through your skilled efforts, the 4 prior SNP bus events have spayed and neutered approximately 400 animals. With additional clinics already planned for the near future, your work has significantly reduced pet overpopulation, improved public health and safety, and advanced long-term animal welfare in measurable and lasting ways. The work you do is vital, not only in the essential medical services you provide, but in the long-term positive change you create for animals, families, and neighborhoods. Your compassion, professionalism, and commitment exemplify the highest standard of community service, and the city of Coalinga expresses its deepest appreciation for meaningful impact you continue to make. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
And would you guys like to say anything?
Sure. So we came up from Bakersfield this morning, so I apologize that I am very, very tired as I left my house at 5 o'clock in the morning. But we were able to do an additional 116 animals today, right here in Coalinga, and I think our next planned date to come back is hopefully in February or March. So we're looking forward to continuing to serve your community, and I really hope that you guys do start seeing a difference in your pet overpopulation.
So I would just like to personally, and on behalf of the city, thank the SNP Bus and RSO and Gimme Love for all of the combined efforts in the city of Coalinga for making this possible. As many people know, we've not been able to get vets out here in the past. This has been a spot where a lot of pets have gone, unfortunately, you know, they get hit by cars, they starve. We have all kinds of issues with pets, and the work that you do makes a huge difference and impact on not only the population of pets, but also on our community. And so I just want to thank you so much for that. I appreciate it. All right, we're going to move on to item number 2.4, recognition of fire department promotions and hires for 2025. Chief?
For the opportunity to introduce several individuals who are joining our ranks in new roles. Each one brings something unique to our department, and together they strengthen the service we provide to Coalinga. These are all our new hires or promotions for 2025. When I call you guys by name, come up here and I'll introduce you and we'll just go down the list, okay? First up, Haley Crosby. Just right here. Front and center. Haley Crossway is one of our non-safety paramedics. Haley is a Coalinga native, someone whose connection to this community began long before her career in EMS. She enjoys hunting, fishing, playing guitar, and taking on projects around the house. But above all, she carries a deep appreciation for the town that raised her. After spending several years working as a paramedic away from home, Haley shared that she was able to return and serve her community is truly a blessing. Her roots here give her a unique perspective and a genuine commitment to local service. Please welcome Haley Crossway. We're going to get all you up there. Chantel Sanchez. Next, I'm proud to highlight Chantel Sanchez, who has taken an important step forward in her EMS career. Chantel joined our department as a non-safety EMT and quickly proved herself to be hardworking, dependable, and driven. She pursued paramedic school with determination, and today we recognize her transition into the role of non-safety paramedic. Her education and certifications were supported through a grant from the Coalinga Healthcare District, whose investment into our EMS program continues to make a significant impact on our department and our community. Congratulations to Chantel Sanchez. Is that you? Who's your partner? Oh, okay, good. Aaron Trujillo. Our next recognition goes to Aaron Trujillo. Aaron began his service with Coalinga Fire as a non-safety EMT as well, where he consistently demonstrated professionalism, reliability, and a willingness to step up whenever needed. His steady performance and commitment to growth have earned him a well-deserved promotion to firefighter EMT. This promotion reflects both his readiness to take on new responsibilities and his continued dedication to serving the residents of Coalinga. Please join me in congratulating Aaron Trujillo. Brandon Moore. Today is Brandon's first day on the job as a probationary firefighter paramedic. Brandon spent nearly 30 years working as a paramedic and first responder throughout California and across the western United States. Prior to joining Coalinga Fire as a per diem paramedic, he served with the Kern County Fire Department as a single role paramedic, which is equivalent to our non-safety program. He also has extensive air medical background, having worked as a flight paramedic with multiple agencies. On a personal level, Brandon's commitment extends far beyond the uniform. He raised twins on his own beginning at the age of 6, a responsibility that shaped the character he brings to our department. Brandon shared that he was drawn to Coalinga's fire close-knit culture and small-town values. As he steps into his role as firefighter paramedic, we're fortunate to add his knowledge and expertise to our team. Welcome, Brandon Moore. Hunter Bell. Hunter Bell is a probationary firefighter paramedic. Hunter comes to us from Santa Clarita and is proud to be a first-generation paramedic and fire service professional. He brings a strong work ethic and a sense of adventure, whether he's riding dirt bikes, surfing, wakeboarding, or taking on just about any sport with a board or wheel attached. What resonated with Hunter most about Coalinga Fire was our emphasis on community engagement and the opportunity to be hands-on in emergency care. He was looking for a department where he could grow, learn, and be part of something meaningful, and he found that here. Please welcome Hunter Bell. And last, but certainly not least, Dylan Rodriguez. Dylan started with us as a non-safety EMT as well, and quickly became known for his reliability, steady presence, and strong clinical performance. Over the past year, he completed paramedic school with Chantel in the same class, a major achievement that takes discipline, effort, and countless hours of study and field work. With his new certification, Dylan will be stepping into the role of firefighter paramedic. His education was made possible through a grant from the Coalinga Healthcare Hospital District as well. Congratulations to Dylan Rodriguez. So thank you, Mayor, Council, and the community for your continued support of Coalinga Fire. These individuals represent dedication, growth, and the future of our department, and we are honored to have them serve in our community. Thank you. You guys want to get pictures? Yeah, Mariana wants to get pictures.
All right, I want to thank all of our new hires, and welcome to Coalinga. Thank you so much. All right, we're going to move on to item number 3, which is citizens' comments.
City department updates.
Oh, I guess city department updates, they got something to say. That's great. Not too much.
Actually, I'll make this easy. I don't have anything new since the last meeting in November. It was the introduction of the personnel, so unless you guys have any questions, I'll turn it over to Chief Garza.
Any questions from council? No. Nope. Seeing none?
All right. Good evening, council, community. Give you an update for the stats for November. The department handled 1,523 calls for service. The busiest days were Thursday through Saturday with 748 calls for service. The busiest hours were between 7 and 9 in the evening with 311 calls for service. Our current staffing levels in patrol, we were able to add an additional officer assisting on those days and those busiest hours. So that's what's going on. Officers initiated 298 traffic stops, 190 community contacts, handled 119 vehicle nuisance, and made 37 arrests. And under the uniform crime report categories, we had 13 victims in the month of November. 10 were assaults. 5 of the 10 were domestic violence. And year to date, we are currently having a 1% increase in crime with 183 victims this year compared to the 182 last year. And the end of year, as you remember, council, in 2024, we ended the year with 198 victims with a 29% reduction in crime. So we're doing everything we can to hopefully be less than 198 this year. So it's going to be close.
Excellent.
That's all I have.
Thanks, Chief. Anyone have questions for the chief? Seeing none? Next department update.
For the Financial Services Department, I don't have any updates since the last update.
Excellent. Any questions for the finance? Seeing none?
Good evening, Council. I do have a few updates. I'll start with community development. We had a directive would be the wrong word, but we had a request from the council to look at plan review, artificial intelligence plan review. And I'm happy to report that we entered into a an agreement with a company called Ichi, and we implemented it. It was relatively inexpensive. I shouldn't say very expensive. It was relatively inexpensive, and we have started our first plan review using that software. So it doesn't replace a plan reviewer, but it definitely does assist in training a plan reviewer from a building inspector. So Robert was able to successfully utilize that for our first plan review. So good news there. Also, Robert and I attended a building code legal aspects training today that is going to help us when we go forward on our beautification efforts. So we have some ideas. We had some good training, and we had some good ideas come out of that training. So more to come on that in the future. Before I move on to Public Works, do you have any questions on the community development?
I have one question. So is the AI going to increase efficiency?
Definitely. We don't anticipate needing to use our third-party consultant anymore. I'm a plan reviewer by trade, and I anticipate this software is going to help me train Robert to be a plan reviewer as well. So with me supervising him, I don't really see the need for that consultant anymore. So I see an overall cost savings to the city.
Excellent. Thanks. Any other questions from council? No? Go ahead.
Just moving on to Public Works, we have a lot of capital improvement projects in the pipeline, as you know. We do have some movement. We do have 90% drawings for the splash pad. We are hoping to start demolition in the not too distant future. I don't want to put too fine a point on that and paint myself into a corner, but as soon as we have some hard dates, I'll be sure to pass those along. We are making some progress on the Cedar Avenue ADU project. Nothing concrete to report, but we are making some progress there. We do anticipate installing the tower out at the Derrick site for the chief's cameras. So hopefully we can get that done sooner than later. And I don't want to touch on anything we're going to talk about going forward here. Let's see, we have a couple other things going on, but I think we'll get to them. So a lot of capital improvement. The solar. We started on the water plant solar project, and we anticipate rolling right into wastewater treatment plant solar array construction immediately after. So hopefully we're projecting a 60 to 90 day build, and we anticipate hitting that timeline. So.
Excellent. Just one question. Have we made any movement on the design for the outdoor food court?
No, sir.
Okay. Any questions from the rest of council?
What's holding up that outdoor food court?
I think, and Sean might be able to comment on this better than I can. I think we're still in the architectural design phase. We're wanting to nail down a design before we move forward with construction drawings. So,
Yeah, the engineer we've been working with is helping with a conceptual plan, and we're having to kind of push that along with all our other projects, but our goal is to hopefully have a conceptual plan the next probably month, so we can present that back to the council for kind of get a consensus of the council moving forward with the concept, and then we'll start getting through design. So our plan with our strategic goals and efforts was to basically have a preliminary design and basically construction drawings ready by the end of the fiscal year. So that'd be June 30 of next year. So the plan is to continue to move forward with preliminary design, but we've got to finalize the concept plan first.
Any other questions from council? Seeing none? Any other department updates? Seeing none? Move on to citizen comments. This section of the agenda allows members of the public to address the city council on any item within the jurisdiction of the council. Members of the public, when recognized by the mayor, should come forward to the lectern, identify themselves, and use the microphone. Comments are normally limited to 3 minutes in accordance with state open meeting laws. No action will be taken by the city council this evening, and all items will be referred to staff for follow-up and a report. Citizen comments submitted in writing to the city clerk by 5 p.m. on the day of the city council meeting shall be distributed to the city council and included in the record. However, they will not be read. And I should note that this is also an excellent time that if you want to speak on a discussion item, that you get a discussion card from right over there and fill that out if you're interested in speaking on any discussion items. Do I have any public comments? Scott?
Scott Netherton, Calinga Chamber of Commerce. Hope you all had a great Thanksgiving. This past Saturday was our annual holiday boutique that we held at the CHS Hub. We had 25 different vendors, went from 10 to 3, had pretty steady people coming through all day long. Everyone seemed to have a real good time. As most of you know, coming up this Saturday, from 10 to 2, the museum is having a vendor pop-up right here at the Richfield Station. And from 11 to 1, Gimme Love is having a pictures with Santa for the animals if you want to bring your dogs down at the Richfield Station as well. And then following up on that, beginning at 6 o'clock, the Chamber of Commerce is hosting our annual Christmas parade down the plaza. Right now we're sitting at 43 entries. It begins at 6 o'clock. You want to get there early, get a good seat. The next big item we have coming is our annual Community Service Awards. At your next meeting, I'll have much firmer details on exact pricing and everything that I can give you guys. I emailed all of you nominations. Hopefully you get a moment to fill those out and put in who you feel. We did add a couple of new categories this year. We separated out for the business. We created a home-based business category as well as a storefront business category. And we also added an Educator of the Year category. So if you get a chance, please fill those out. The deadline is Monday at 5 p.m. And I'll probably send you all a new one again anyway, just to remind you. I do also, on a personal note, glad that you guys recognize Snip Bus. About a year and a half ago, I had to put my dog down, and I asked my vet, because my block is overrun with cats. And I asked him about if I trap some of these, if I could get them fixed. $450 at a vet to get them spayed or neutered. I trapped 9 of them a month and a half ago, Snip Bus, $180, $20 spay, neuter, chipped, vaccinated, out the door. And then in fact today I rescued a German Shepherd last week and just got him taken care of today. So what they do, I'm glad you took the time to recognize them as a council, and they do a lot of good stuff here for the community. Thank you.
Thank you. Sir, are you now the owner of 9 cats then?
No.
And the dog. And the dog. Any other public comments? Chuck?
Good evening, everybody. I just want to, on behalf of the Lions Club, thank the city, the police department, the people of Calinga for the backing of the turkey trot that we just had. Originally, we were shooting for 100 people. We ended up with a tad over 200 people that participated. So that went really well. We're hoping to do another one next year. So just keep an eye out. You know, if that's something you want to participate in. I got to give a little shout out to Mr. Netherton over here. He got an award for his age group. So he did really well. 80 plus. Anyways. Yeah, but on a serious note, I just wanted to thank the city and the police department because they really helped us out with the barricades and traffic control and all that kind of stuff. If it wasn't for the city and the police department, it would be very difficult to do. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Anyone else for public comment? All right, seeing none, we're going to move on to the consent calendar. We have 12 items. Is there anything, council? Gosh, I am just off today. I don't even know what's going on here. We have a public hearing. Yeah, we're trying to get out of here. No, I'm just kidding. Okay, number 4.1, public hearings, adoption of resolution number 4302, vacation. Is that really? Yeah. Vacation? Vacation of a public street easement on adjoining APN 083090 47S and APN 083-090-52S, portions of Sacramento Street and Worthen Street, and approving abandonment. Sir?
We introduced this at the last meeting, and this is just the hearing to follow up with that recommendation to vacate the property at the corner of, at the intersection, well, the triangle of Sacramento and Worthen Street. And as we discussed last meeting, really this is more of a housekeeping item. The property owner, Worthen Apartments Phase 2, acquired a triangular piece of land at the intersection of Sacramento Street and Worthen, and have incorporated that into the project. That is now complete. So this is more of just a follow-up just to properly vacate the land. We're not sending the land to Venice or anything, but we're just vacating the land back and giving it to donating. Well, donating is the wrong word.
It's reverting back to
Reverting back.
It's just reverting back to the adjacent property owner, yeah.
So, the discussion on the item is that the existing public street easement and reserve a 10-foot public utility easement along that frontage. And staff recommends that the city of Coalinga vacate the easement and reserve the PUE moving forward. The alternatives for the council are to not approve 4302, which we do not recommend. We do recommend approving the resolution.
All right, I'm going to open up this for council discussion, and then we will open up the public hearing. Anyone on council have any questions, comments, concerns? Okay, seeing none, this is a public hearing. I'm going to open up the public hearing. Anyone want to speak on this particular public hearing? Seeing none, closing the public hearing. Any further discussion from council? Entertain a motion to approve.
I'll motion to adopt resolution number 4392.
I'll second it. It's been moved and seconded. Can I get a roll call vote?
Mayor Pro Tem Schindler,
Aye.
Councilman Ramirez,
Aye.
Councilman Hedgecock,
Aye.
Councilman Louder,
Aye.
and Mayor Vosberg.
I also vote aye. The adoption of resolution number 4302 passes. And now we're going to move on to the consent calendar, if I'm reading this correctly tonight. All right? I know. So we have 12 items. Is there anything on the consent calendar that council would like pulled for discussion?
I'd like to pull item 5.7 and 5.9. They're just informational.
7 and 9?
Anyone else?
12 for
12?
informational, yeah.
Any others? All right, Sean?
All right, so we'll start with 7. So this was an information item. It was a future agenda item requested by Councilman Schindler regarding the potential transfer or realignment of habitat conservation lands surrounding the municipal airport. Councilman Schindler requested that staff explore whether the conservation or buffer lands surrounding the airport, originally established due to a biological and wildlife habitat requirements, could be transferred, relocated, or otherwise adjusted to facilitate airport expansion. So to respond to this, staff consulted with the city planning consultant team and received preliminary input from the city's contracted biologist. Their assessment indicates that the primary controlling document governing the establishment of habitat or conservation land around the airport is likely the biological opinion that was issued by U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service as part of the airport master plan or master plan update process. The city believes the biological opinion issued by Fish and Wildlife for the airport is a controlling document that establishes the conservation and buffer lands surrounding the airport, while the general plan and the incomplete habitat conservation plan refers or references related habitat considerations. The biological opinion appears to be the binding document because it serves as the permit compliance mechanism for the overall airport. So based on this, we basically at this point, there are some additional processes the city would need to go through to analyze the relocation of the habitat lands, because these properties, when they're placed into conservation easements, are essentially analyzed for their, basically they're investigated in terms of the habitat that's available, that's actually there. If we need to move it, we'd actually have to move that habitat to another property that would be suitable for relocation. And so that would require future studies, future environmental review. So at this time, staff is recommending that at this time we kind of hold until we see the potential for future growth to the north of the airport, because right now we have a significant amount of land south of the airport that we can expand for any kind of future development. Now, if we receive some proposal or some communication that there's going to be a larger development that may require additional land, say to the north of the airport, then we would definitely start exploring going through that process. But it could be a significant cost right now to move forward with that, where right now it might not be necessary, but at least we have kind of a background in terms of what we would need to do to move forward to actually potentially relocate. Because that would also assume us having to purchase additional properties somewhere over in the valley, or at least on the west side, to relocate that and exchange that easement. So at this point, staff's not recommending moving forward with anything additional at this point, but as we proceed forward or we see future development at the airport, we're definitely going to be, we have some background now to move forward with some approach if we need to.
That's exactly what I wanted to know. Thank you.
All right, moving on to item number, let's see, 9.
All right, that was the Wings Over the West Side, correct? Okay. So the Wings Over the West Side was held on September 27th at the municipal airport. Featured full day of aviation and community activities, including aerobatic performances, comedy aerobatic routines, Tony Higa's pits, and a tactical demo by Momentum Tactical, plus historic warbird participation of the C-47 and a P-63 King Cobra. On the ground, attendees enjoyed general aviation and vintage static displays, first responder equipment, a car show, vendors with community organizations, food trucks and concessions, and official event merchandise. Guest amenities included a VIP tent with hospitality and sponsor recognition, designated seating and shade, wayfinding and info services, ADA parking, and coordinated safety traffic operations. The request from the council, we wanted to give kind of an update on kind of where we landed this year. It was our first year doing a full-blown air show. And so a full income and expense analysis has been completed and evaluated by the finance department for basically identifying the financial performance of the event. Total revenue generated was $56,916, which included donations, sponsorships, ticket sales, parking fees, food vendor fees, and ancillary sales. Sponsorships represented the largest share of revenue, which is about almost $29,000, followed by ticket sales of about $12,807, and and some donations totaling $7,549. The ticket sales represented about 1,000 participants, but we also, as you may be aware, anyone under the age of 12 were free, and so we assume we had about 1,000 spectators, but there is probably a percentage of that were children. We saw a lot of kids, probably 12 and under, which represented a free ticket. So as we evaluate future years, we kind of take that into consideration too in terms of bringing in more folks. Total expenditures for the event totaled about $80,000, driven primarily by performance fees, which is about $46,000, and equipment needs of $21,784. Additional expenses included supplies, lodging for performers, food, media, fuel, and other operational costs necessary to support the event. So after accounting for all revenues and expenditures, the event resulted in a net loss of about $22,000. As this was the city's first year hosting Wings Over the West Side, many foundational and one-time costs were incurred to establish the event as well, so it's kind of built into some of those costs. Staff anticipates that the initial investments now in place, future years may benefit from reduced startup expenses, expanded sponsorship opportunities, and operational refinements that can improve cost recovery. Staff will continue to evaluate the event's economic impact, community benefit, and operational model, and will return to the council with recommendations for future planning, cost containment strategies, and revenue generating opportunities should the council continue to move forward with this event, which I'm already in the understanding that's what we're doing moving forward with our event in 2026. I did provide a kind of a breakdown of what the revenues kind of broke down to cost-wise, and then also the expenditures. We are actually, myself and a few other staff members will be attending the International Council of Air Shows annual conference next week. And we'll be talking with vendors, talking with performers. And with having a year under the belt, we're excited to attend this event with a different perspective than we have in the past. And so we're really excited about the opportunity to go out there and talk to the folks in the industry, get some additional best practices and learn from the last event. And then also look at where we can improve. I think that we can improve, as I mentioned, on sponsorships. I think we can also improve on ticket sales and bringing more folks in. And also looking at our performers. We were really new to finding performers, hiring performers. And so we've learned a lot from the experience, talking to a lot of people, partnerships that we can actually gravitate towards that'll really save us, I think, a lot of money and build the schedule bigger than last year, but also be able to hopefully keep those costs a little bit more, a little bit lower. Because the performers are one of the most expensive components of putting on an air show. Between the performers, the fuel costs, the lodging, the rental cars, there's a lot of components tied to the performers and making sure they're taken care of when they're here. And those are all contractual obligations. Those aren't things that we do out of the kindness of our heart, but they are contractual obligations that we have to meet for those performers as well. But with that, any questions that you may have regarding this or next year's event, we're more than happy to answer those.
Do we have a date picked out for next year? And
October 3rd.
Okay.
So we originally were trying to do or kind of a match the same September date, but the Thunderbirds, as takes priority, are coming to the Salinas Air Show this year, and they had to do September 26th. So we found out that Salinas was doing, I think it was September 26th, so we pushed it out to to October 3rd rather than going sooner.
And do we have flyers, promotions, and everything going out already?
Not yet. We're going to start, once we get back from the air show, the big thing is trying to solidify some of the performers earlier this year. That's what kind of held us a little bit on getting a lot of information out. Because we want to make sure, one, we were going to have an air show, because it was our first time actually undertaking all of the requirements of actually hosting an air show component rather than just the static displays that we had the previous year. So I think this year, our goal is to start securing contracts in January, February, and then we'll start be able to advertise, because the more performers we have locked in, the better we can advertise for the air show component of the event.
And the public knows this is all to draw interest to our airport so we can start getting some businesses out there. This is to revitalize our airport. Everything we're doing with the air shows is to bring interest into getting business, getting some of the stuff fixed that's out there that needs repaired. We're selling it. This is a sales pitch basically for our airport. And it was a good one. It's pretty cheap advertisement, if you think about it. What is one commercial on a network cost compared to this?
Yeah, I agree. I think, if anything, it was an investment in experience. And now you can take what you learned from this year, which I thought was great, take it to Vegas and bring back some new ideas and make some money next year.
Hopefully we get those electric planes landing there. Great ideas that other companies are looking at. And are we going to add the parachute landing in the bowl again?
Yeah, I talked to Pete and Matt, and they're definitely interested in coming back next year. I think we'll partner with some of the folks that we've partnered with in the past. We'll probably be looking at a more broad group of performers, just based on the conversations we've had, where we can get more cost-effective flyovers and more local folks within the within the vicinity. So I know there's people that actually came to the event that showed their plane that have performed in other air shows. So we're kind of excited to be able to work with them, and I think we've learned a lot from our air boss and our announcer. And so when we're hoping to bring them back, we've been bugging them, so I think they're going to be available for our event as well for next year.
One quick question. What's the likelihood of the Lemoore Naval Air Base getting involved next year? I mean,
Oh, we're
they're
going
right
to work
there.
that. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. I'll leave it at that.
Any other questions from council? Okay, seeing none, moving on to item number 12.
Is there a particular question on this one?
Informational on how the whole thing.
Oh, yeah. So this is basically just a notice of completion for the AHSC, which is Affordable Housing Sustainable Communities program. This was a grant that was part of the development of the Pacific Apartments at Pacific and Elm. When the city applied for the AHSC grant, this included funding for the apartments, which wasn't the full funding. They still have to go after tax credits and other federal funding, but it was a component of helping to assist fund the apartments. It also came with $1 million grant for FCRTA, which is the Fresno County Rural Transit Authority, where they received, they were the beneficiary of $1 million for an electric bus. There was also a beneficiary of CalVans, who received, I think it was 20 vans. And then also the city was a recipient of $5 million in which we call STI and TRA, which are basically safety improvements. And so we developed a scope which included the lighting that you've seen, the solar lighting that you've seen around town by Pleasant, Houston, Valley, Forest Street, I think South Coalinga Street on that area of town. So that was, I think it was about 65 lights that were installed. A tremendous amount of curb ramps. If you saw, there was tons of curb ramps, curb returns that were redone. There was sidewalk work, crosswalks, bike lanes. And so a lot of safety improvements, crosswalks. So that project was recently completed. And so I think that the contract was awarded back in June. So basically you kind of saw that throughout the summer and then into the winter. But that project is now complete. And so we're closing that grant out. And that project was roughly about $1.7 million. Yeah.
Any other questions from council? So I'd also like to pull item number 6, approval for the general cost allocation study to ensure a proper staff allocation to the city funds. And I only want to just make one little change in that. I just want to make the change. It says the model will support FY 26-27 budget development. And I would just like to add into there that if we find significant findings, that it also applies to 23-24 and 24-25. And does anyone else have anything they'd like to pull off of the consent? Could I entertain a motion to approve the consent calendar with the changes?
I'll move to approve the consent calendar with the changes to 5.6.
Yeah.
I second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Consent calendar passes with the changes. So we have a, let's see, number 6.3 has been moved to 6.1, correct? Yeah. So 6.3 is, I believe,
Natural gas.
the annual natural gas report and consideration and approval of resolution number 4300, rescinding resolution 4293, and approving increasing natural gas rates by 20%. Dan?
Thank you, Mayor and City Council. It's been about a month since I was here to present to you the annual gas report. So just a little bit of background. You have a gas purchase policy that we put in place after that cold winter, and that policy requires that 80% of each winter's gas is purchased prior to November 1st. So it protects ratepayers in the city from that kind of gas price volatility that we saw in 22-23. A part of the policy is the annual reporting, and in the annual reporting, the report addresses gas purchase for the city, looking back, gas purchased ahead, and the physical and financial status of the gas system, and also rate needs. When I was here in October, based on the outcome of the previous year and gas purchase for the winter that we're in right now, the recommendation was a 20% increase from the rates that were in place. As a result of the discussion that was had here, the decision at that time, which was approved by resolution, was to do a 5% increase to gas rates, which was effective November 1st. So it's in place right now, the 5% increase, and also to draw on the general fund $200,000 to cover some infrastructure needs that are needed for this for now. And the infrastructure needs, as I explained then and just reviewing again now, the city hasn't had to spend much money on the gas system over the years. It doesn't have a lot of moving parts. It operates at low pressure at 23 pounds, and it's just been easy to take care of for the most part. But it's getting old. And specifically, what is getting old and needs replacement are the 13 anode beds that protect the steel gas pipes in the older part of town. And so they don't have to all be done at once. We've identified 2 that need to be replaced, and the estimated cost for that is about $100,000 each. In addition to the anode beds, there's ongoing purchases of replacement meters, and also the need to repair some distribution valves in the street that are stuck. It's important to be able to move those valves. If there's a leak, Public Works needs to be able to isolate the system. So the total cost for those things was $320,000, which we haven't seen that kind of need historically, but now there's the 320 and then 200,000 a year going forward to do 2 anode beds a year. So I know this item is being brought back because you wanted to discuss it some more. What I wanted to do to provide a little bit more review is I've done some scenarios that you can look at and consider, and also a little bit more comparison with PG&E. And I'm doing this because as there is concern about rate increases in Coalinga, and legitimate concern, I just want to make sure that we're all appreciating the importance and the value of Coalinga's gas system to Coalinga. So with that, let's look at the couple slides here after the title slide. Am I advancing? Oh, I guess I'm not. So here is a comparison of PG&E residential costs for baseline gas compared to Coalinga's costs. PG&E is on top, obviously, and Coalinga's on the bottom. So that's going back a couple of years. You can see the peaking costs that PG&E customers, myself included, experienced during that cold winter. And I've said this in the past, and now I get to show it to you. The big utilities, PG&E, San Diego, and SoCalGas, adjust their procurement costs to their customers monthly. So those fluctuations customers see every single month. And so what we can see here, appreciate 2 things. One is how much lower Coalinga's gas costs are. Right now it's 50%. I looked at that and couldn't believe it. Just seeing, but it's 50%. So the first thing is how much lower. And the second thing is, even though over the recent years we've been adjusting the gas prices, compared to PG&E, it's nothing. And another thing to just notice is we talk about 5% and 10% and 20%, but they're percentages of much lower numbers. So the dollar amounts are lower than they would be if it was PG&E. You can see, by the way, on the right side, that pointer right there, That's the 5% increase. So it's in place now for gas that's moving now. Oh, that works. I couldn't believe it, so I looked at my own bill, and sure enough, I mean, I just called this up this afternoon, right? Where is it? Right there, 205. Oh, and down here, 315. That's $31 a decatherm that I'm paying. It's so expensive, but not here. I updated the comparison. Oh, this is showing I just used 20%. But based on the update, a 20% increase in Coalinga, which I know is more than you prefer, it's still 41% less than PG&E. For the purpose of discussion, this is good to keep in mind. The cost increase averaged over a year for a typical residential customer in Coalinga, 5, 10, 15, 20, you see it's $2, $4, $6, or $8 a month. And yes, it's more in the winter. 70% of your gas is going to your customers in the winter. But on an annual analyzed basis, that's what it is. This is what you accepted last time, but you didn't see this before because I did it while we were talking, right? So it's showing I know it's small. So it's the 5% increase, and the 200,000 coming from the general fund. But what you see, is that the 5% increase is still about a $30,000 loss in operating income. But then we're adding 200 in from the general fund and subtracting 320 for all the work that needs to be done. So it leaves the fund balance at about zero. So that's where we landed last time. So on an operating basis, we're going to lose about 30,000, bring in 200, spend 320, benefit from 150,000 that's coming over from the previous year. So that adds to it. But the point is, that's what 5% does with the 200,000. So here's 10% now, and I took out the 200,000. So what you see is that on an operating basis, it was negative before, but now we're 75,000 positive. No money from the general fund. We're going to still spend the 320, and we're going backwards. The fund balance drops about 92. That will change. That will change as a result of the cost allocation work. The general sense is that $750,000, which is personnel, will drop. I mean, the work hasn't been done yet, but just folks' sense is that the general overhead cost allocated to the gas fund might be a little bit high. So that's 10%. I'm also showing you what would cause the fund to maintain a positive fund balance. So it's 15 this year and 10 next year. And so there's no money coming from the general fund. And that 15% gives us a slight positive. It's basically break even at the end of this year and slightly positive at the end of next year. So that's 10% followed, 15% followed by 10. I want to point out that in this one, I'm showing the impact of the 10%, but I didn't put a rate in for next year. And it's a good time to bring up, that's why we need to review this every year, because of the continued volatility with gas commodity, with the PG&E transportation costs that we talked about last time. They're not volatile in that they don't go down. They just go up and hold up. But the main volatility component is natural gas. One thing I was sharing with Sean today, we bought $5 fixed price, $5.10 fixed price gas coming into the winter. And we just got from our gas supplier, from the city's gas supplier, the December posting. It's $4.90. So there's not a huge premium. I've talked in the past about premiums that are paid for the fixed price. Well, in December, there's no premium. Because if we had bought monthly supply, it would have been the same price. So that's good. That is a really good thing. And especially because it's still giving you, the fixed price gas gives the city the protection from price volatility, which is what the gas purchase policy is all about. That's it. So those are the background slides. Thank you.
Excellent. Council have any questions, comments?
My comment is we need to raise it, and we need to look at it again. I would say springtime, just where we're at, because that's when the usage starts to go back down, but we can take a look and see where we're at. And if we do have to raise it more, like you were showing, we should know what the labor costs by then. I'm sure we'll know by then how that's going to affect the balance. And if we need to raise it a little bit more, we can, when it's not really going to hurt because nobody's using it. But it's going to be there to start growing that fund to where it can take care of itself. And with the cost of natural gas and the aging infrastructure, we have to have money in there to take care of our community. If we don't have a healthy fund balance, we can't take care of the city.
I agree. That's the reason I brought this back originally, is I was concerned that we were using other funds to prop up this fund, and I don't think that's a healthy way to do it, even temporary, even if there's an abundance. I think that it's best that we look at this and make sound decisions where this fund stands on its own, even if it's at a zero net. At least it's not falling apart without substituting money from other funds. So, that being said, we're gonna need to raise the rates. 10% seems to be what puts us about at a break-even point. How we do that is up for discussion.
Well, then, like I said, I'd like to see it come back at least March, when the usages start going down, so we can see where we're at. Because we need to get ahead of it before next year.
The last cold month is March, so in April, we could see the result. And what, if I could just add, what will make the difference, there won't be a surprise in gas costs because the gas is purchased, but the variable will be how cold the winter is and how much gas is sold. Because to the extent more gas is sold than in my model, all that extra revenue goes to cover fixed cost. It can go the other way too, right? I mean, the number I use in my modeling is a 3-year average. It's cold now. We don't know if it'll stay cold.
So council spent a lot of time on this. A lot of man hours have been spent with staff. Individual council members have spent a lot of time on this. And we're pretty much all on the same page that we need to make sure that the infrastructure moving forward is fixed, and the only way we can do that is to have the rates, reflect that. And unfortunately, in 2020, I think 2022, 2023, we started incurring the carbon tax. Is that correct? That year was it?
It's the Air Resources Board. It's greenhouse gas. It's
the GHGCC, or what's that called? Something like
Cap
that.
and Trade, the Greenhouse Gas Initiative.
Right. So, and I think last time we looked at somewhere around 300,000 a year that we're paying for that.
Yeah. I mean, Robert, while they're talking, you could bring up that other presentation.
Yeah. So it's a lot, and it's something that we didn't plan on. We didn't know it was going to come up, and it's not a small chunk. It's a large amount. Okay. There we go. Yeah. So that's added on to everything that we get. And unfortunately, even though you're only seeing, small dollar increases amount, when it comes to the final bills, it adds up. It's a lot. And so even though, myself, and I think everybody here, no one wants to raise rates, but we can't go broke, and we have to run a business. So I'm also in favor of the 10% as well. I think that a couple of us, off and on have been talking with Dan and Sean, and we had some ideas about, and
and I think Dan can give us the exact language on how we do this. So we would approve the percentage tonight, and then we would come back with a resolution using the advice from staff, and Dan's going to give us the exact language here, that we can add on to it to make sure that we have some kind of rate stabilization and that we have some funds to make sure that the money goes into, so that when we're doing these increases now and when we have to come back and look at this again, that we can make sure that we have that money put aside for rate stabilization and for infrastructure. So maybe Dan could give us what that language would be, and we could tack it on to, and if everyone's okay with the 10%, and then we will come back, let's say after the rate study is done, or April, whichever one, and we'll attack this again, if everyone is okay in agreement with that. What was the language that you had suggested?
Well, what I'm suggesting, we can talk about rate stabilization and infrastructure fund, but procedurally, I also want to ask about changing the gas rate at this point, because there's no resolution right now. But the first thing, with gas infrastructure is for projects, and rate stabilization is for price volatility, cost volatility that would be used instead of a rate increase. And so the way it would work is that you would have a resolution that named and defined both of them, and the resolution would establish specific funds within the gas enterprise where monies went and were stored, and would require your approval, City Council, for staff to pull that money out. So in that way, it's protected. Some cities, like the city of Susanville, has a line item on the customer's bill for infrastructure. I don't recommend that. It just complicates the bill. You know, the idea was to show residents that there's money going towards infrastructure. But if it's gas or water or sewer, there's money going towards infrastructure anyway. But the main thing is the accountability that the infrastructure fund and the rate stabilization fund provides. So that would be by resolution. And what I would further recommend, that occurred to me after we talked, was that reporting of the status of the stabilization and infrastructure fund be incorporated in the annual gas report, because it's an annual thing. So the first thing to do is to put them in place, to officially and formally define them and start them. But then a second step is funding them. From what you've just seen, there isn't immediately funds for them. But when I'm back, when we're back together on this topic after winter, after the cost allocation is done, and after we know how much gas is sold during the winter, there could be some revenue there in addition to what we're projecting right now. So that's for infrastructure.
Yeah, no, I like that idea. I'm fine with that. I mean, we don't know where we're going to be at, and so we don't want to dedicate something that we don't know. And so I'm okay with that, as long as I want to tie creating those funds into this, since it's a discussion item. But they can be separate than our rate increase. So we can do the rate increase and then also give direction for staff to come back and do the annual and do the rate stabilization fund and the infrastructure.
Yeah.
Yes.
So what we're looking for now is an approval for resolution 4300, which rescinds 4293 and increases the gas rate by 10%. Does that sound?
Well, I didn't look at the resolution numbers. So is the resolution that's being rescinded the adjusted resolution from last time?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, with
With the 5%.
so we're rescinding the one with the 5% and the
Replacing it with
200,000?
a 10.
Okay.
And then
So
adding the
procedurally,
And removing the 200,000.
yes.
Yes.
So procedurally, do we follow with a resolution then? Because we don't have one right now.
No, we would send staff we're going to do this resolution right now for this, and then just add it on direction for staff to come back with the next resolutions. But I think we can do the resolution right now to do the 10%. So we're going to do that, and then we'll send staff back to work and you to come up with the language for the other funds that we're looking for in the annual review.
Does that sound right?
Does the 10% need a resolution?
I think what we're gonna have to do is, because the the 5% was effective November 1st. We need to, we're effectively increasing an additional 5% effective December 1st.
So not rescinding.
We don't want to, so we don't necessarily want to rescind it, because if we do that, then we're missing out on November 1st. But I think even though it says to rescind it, we can still amend all that, right? Okay. So essentially what we'll be doing is we'll be effectively adopting a new resolution, adopting an additional 5% increase, but also removing the transfer of the $200,000. And we can make those changes in the resolution for the council. Is that?
Is council okay with that? Anyone have any further comments or questions?
You've identified the 300-odd thousand for the problematic infrastructure repairs that you have right now. Do you have an audit or a anticipated cost for upgrades and infrastructure costs that are going to be in the future? Going to all poly, replacing all meters, going to a network for smart meters, stuff like that?
Millions of dollars.
Yeah, we're working on that. We do have a good estimate on replacing all the steel lines in the system because of a grant we went after about a year and a half ago. And so we have some good estimates on the miles of line that we still have to replace, which is really kind of most downtown. And then we're also already starting to look into the smart meter infrastructure and looking into the cost regarding the kind of almost like a fixed wireless system, since they don't actually have the similar to the cellular reads like we do for the water. So we are looking at that infrastructure. The meters that we're currently purchasing are capable of transitioning to that once we get that infrastructure in place. So the meters they can switch right over to that once we get the infrastructure in place. So we're actually exploring that right now as well. So as we start looking at this and developing these plans, we're going to have a good total cost, and then we'll have to look at what we can bite off. But we're also looking at other alternatives, other grant opportunities that might be available to help offset some of these costs as well.
So like on the, for instance, like on the water meters, we were able to get that grant funded for most of the cost on the water meters. And maybe there's an opportunity from Clean Air or from some of the other institutions on, and we can also work with with Townsend and our upstream electeds to see if we can get money from them.
Yeah,
as well on
the
this.
challenge is that you have to go after federal grants because obviously the state of California is not supportive of natural gas, and so the funding that comes from the state is pretty much non-existent. But the last grant we went after was actually a federal grant, and federal grants are super competitive because we're competing a lot of folks in the Midwest to the East Coast, and so that was a very challenging grant to put together. It was even difficult trying to get some follow-up from them afterwards to kind of debrief and understand what we can do better. However, we are looking at some other potential grant opportunities, and there are actually federal grants too, where we might be able to get infrastructure money for it. So we're looking at that. But it also could be something as part of and that might be a discussion item as we talk about earmarks. That might be something else to add to the earmark project list.
All right, so let's fully understand this, so we understand what we're doing. Maybe the city attorney can give us some guidance on how to implement this.
Yeah, so it looks like you're not going to rescind Resolution 4293 in its entirety. What you're going to do is you're going to rescind the $200,000 transfer from general fund reserves to the gas enterprise. So that provision will be struck from 4293. And then Section 4 on Resolution 4300, believe the reading cycle would be for December, if I'm correct. Mm-hmm. So you would revise, the revised rate shall be effective with the meter reading cycle beginning in December 2025. So you just replace November with December, I believe.
It's 5%.
It'll be 5%, yeah. So a total of 10 over the course of those 2 months.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any other questions from council? And we will be bringing this back. We will have further discussion. Yeah, and I'm sure some of us have also put in other future agenda items. One of the items that I put in was to conduct a deferred maintenance and infrastructure condition study. And so that should be on the plate. Then I think that might go a little bit towards, that as well. And then, let's see, yeah. So
if you want something else, you can put it on as a future agenda when we get to the future agenda section. So if there's something not covered under this that you guys would like to bring back, then we can do it under the future agenda, and we can bring it back for discussion sooner if you guys would like to.
And as part of the discussion, we're getting the understanding direction that we're going to bring back a resolution that'll establish the capital improvement fund for the gas enterprise division, as well as create a rate stabilization fund.
And an annual review.
And with an annual review, and then we'll actually, I highlighted here that I'll include a policy.
Okay.
So what it does is it allows the council to collectively agree to utilizing and why we would utilize the rate stabilization fund, triggered based on volatility, not necessarily maybe because personnel costs went up. We need to adjust a rate based on personnel costs or any other kind of contract services, where if it's a volatility in the market, we're seeing gas wholesale purchase prices go up, then that's when we would look at how we need a X% increase, or we've got $200,000 in the rate stabilization fund. Let's move that in to really protect us from that volatility of the market. So we'll put that into a policy, so then the council has a clear indication on why we're using those particular funds and what reasons we would use that for. And then the infrastructure fund protecting that as well, and when we would use that.
Exactly. All right. Any other questions from council? Seeing none, can I get a motion to approve
Whatever
this?
I just said, yeah.
The changes.
I'm kidding. Can I have the attorney read the language so that we can get a motion to support?
Sure, so you would move to approve Resolution 4300, rescinding Section 4, rescinding Section 4 of Resolution 4293 in its entirety, and amending Section 4 of Resolution 4300, amending the November 2025 to December 2025, and then whatever Sean has.
Everything I said.
And then also including bringing back a resolution establishing a rate stabilization along
The capital improvement fund for the
with the
gas
capital
fund.
improvement fund for the gas fund, and an annual review along with a policy.
I'll go ahead and motion to what you all just said, so we
Mayor.
can get over this.
If I can interrupt, so we want the 5% in November to stand, right?
Yes, it will.
All we're doing is
I thought I
rescinding
heard you say.
that's the $200,000 transfer is what we're rescinding.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Okay.
We have a motion?
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded. Roll call?
I didn't catch the first. Councilman Hedgecock,
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Schindler,
Aye.
Councilman Louder,
Aye.
Councilman Ramirez,
Aye.
Mayor Vosberg.
I also vote aye. The rescinding of the resolution and adding to the resolution will pass. All right, and so now we're gonna move item number, let's see, it looks like 6.4 up to 6.2, is that correct?
Yep.
Discussion direction on FY '27 federal appropriations earmark project priorities. We moved the other ones up ahead.
Yeah.
I'm confused.
Thanks, Dan.
Thanks, Dan.
All right, so staff's recommending the council review the potential project priorities for fiscal year '27 federal appropriations cycle and provide direction on which projects staff should work with Townsend Public Affairs to prepare for submittal. Congress is currently negotiating fiscal year '26 appropriations, but preparation for the fiscal year '27 cycles already began. Townsend Public Affairs has advised that early planning significantly increases the competitiveness of community project funding requests by allowing jurisdictions to refine project scopes, gather supporting documents, and engage with congressional offices prior to the formal submission window. So staff seeking direction from the City Council regarding which projects should be prioritized for fiscal year '27. Historically, the city has submitted water system improvements, and these remain some of the strongest and most competitive candidates due to the aging infrastructure, regulatory requirements, and clear public benefit. Examples include water treatment plant improvements, wash water tank replacement, and SCADA upgrades. These projects already have well-defined scopes and cost estimates, making them strong candidates in the upcoming cycle. Staff is also looking to prepare a scope of work for critical water line replacements. Basically, we're particularly the Garfield water line. I know the council approved the task order to do all the engineering. However, this could be also a potential project for the actual infrastructure construction portion of that. In recent years, the city has also begun positioning the municipal airport for federal support. Improvements such as the pavement rehabilitation, hangar development, safety upgrades, and fueling infrastructure remain eligible and could continue to advance the long-term vision for the airport modernization and economic development. So if the council prefers to expand beyond water and airport projects, Townsend Public Affairs has noted that other categories such as public safety, transportation, community facilities, and resilience or sustainability projects may also qualify, depending on federal account eligibility. Staff can explore these options if directed by the council. I do have Spencer on. I think Spencer's on with Townsend. I got the thumbs up from Robert. So if you have any questions for the folks from Townsend, they're available. I do have a list of the projects, or I provided a copy of the projects on as an attachment. But we also did talk just even in the last item, whether or not there's even any desire to talk about maybe some natural gas improvements as well as we go to our federal congressional folks for community projects. So with that, I'm going to open it up to the council for discussion, questions, and again, looks like there's Spencer right there.
All right, council, what do you want to do? Any questions, discussion?
I can go through this list briefly if you want, of the attachment. I know I kind of just highlighted them in the staff report. But one is the water treatment plant filtration systems. That's one for $1.5 million. We have the water treatment plant wash water tank replacement, which is $2.24 million. That's the replacement of the full tank at the water plant. Water treatment plant raw water intake screens and wash water return improvements of $1.548. We also have $2.25 million in water treatment plant sludge drying bed improvements. The water treatment plant flock basin rehab, which is about $2.25 million. $1 million for water system SCADA upgrades. These are for all the SCADA upgrades for the outlying areas to be able to have all of our tanks communicate with each other a little bit more, better than they communicate now. And then $1.25 million for Kalinga. Oh, I hate to say this, but I did include that. $1.25 million Kalinga critical gas mainline replacement. So I've actually included that. That must have been a last minute, so I apologize. That's for the replacement of 3,850 linear feet of the city's high-risk, leak-prone natural gas distribution mains. So I have actually added that to it for $1.25 million. So if there's anything else the council may want to add, when we usually submit for these, we can prioritize these, but a lot of times we can submit these all together. And then sometimes it helps with our congressional leaders. We can have conversations, and there may be ones that are more in tune for, like, Congressman Gray was very interested in water. So I think some of our congressional leaders are focused on certain types of infrastructure or certain types of projects, where this kind of diversity of projects allows us to have that open communication with them and find projects that may work within their wheelhouse for them to be sponsors and champions of. So, Mayor?
Spencer, how you doing?
Doing well, Mayor. Thank you, and thank you,
Great to
Council, for
see
having
you
me tonight.
again.
Likewise.
So I guess we're going to get some advice from you on whether or not we go out with a broad brush and put everything out there and see what sticks, or are we going to go specific on a couple specific items? Because I know sometimes certain folks in Congress like certain projects, and certain things are easier to get done. Like water seems to be a thing that's constantly on the horizon, and that's kind of an easy lift for a lot of them because they can always relate it to clean drinking water and things of that nature. Whereas some of these things, if we put them out there, they may say, hey, we can get some of these. We may be able to get one. What's your recommendation?
I would recommend identifying about probably 4 priority projects that we can go to Congressman Gray, Senator Schiff, and Padilla and start socializing these projects, figuring out which they might be more interested in. As Sean and as you, Mr. Mayor, have mentioned, water projects are always a priority. as well as really wanting to prioritize local needs. That's something that we want to emphasize with your representatives in Congress. With the natural gas mainline project, that if that's a priority, that's something we can elevate with them as well. Typically, what we do is we'll solicit input from you as council, city departments on which projects are the city's priorities. Go to your members, ask which might be a good fit for submissions, and then diversify those asks as well. We could go submit 2 to Congressman Gray and then 2 to Senator Schiff and Padilla as well, to make sure that we're hedging a little bit. So, for example, if we submit the same projects to all 3 of those members and all 3 select, and those asks are moved forward, you won't triple your funding. You'll just get the original ask amount that you submitted to each member. So we like to diversify a little bit, not just by subject matter and project, but diversify amongst your members as well. Just briefly looking through the projects that Sean has gone over, we've identified some water projects that look like they'll be more competitive. The plant raw water intake screen replacements and wash return improvements, as well as SCADA upgrades and the water treatment plant filtration systems. These are all tied to EPA compliance on filter backwash recycling, which is a plus and can make a strong public health argument. On the airports, definitely the runway improvements and the hangar construction are great if your members of Congress are interested. Those are also diverse types of projects. Not everyone is submitting, not all cities and applicants are submitting for airport type projects. So it'd be a good way to diversify. Plus, the airport is on the FAA's NPIAS list, so it is eligible and usually tied to safety, capacity, and environmental concerns as well. So just looking at the list, those are some we'd like to highlight, but we are very open to council's input.
So if we went with those 3 and then we added in the 1.25 million for the critical gas, that would be the 4. Would that be a good starting point to look at?
Mayor, if I could interject, I apologize. The item, the raw water intake screen replacement, that's actually currently under construction, so that's actually going to be completed. That's something we've actually that was part of one of our bond projects, so that's actually been completed, so I apologize that was on here, but it's kind of been a living document as we've kind of tried to push projects. So I would say we don't necessarily need those funds, but I think there's also a couple other ones. I think the water treatment, the wash water tank replacement, I think is what we were talking about too.
So removing that first one that he said we already have funded, which one would you put in place of there? Because I know you have the ears of the feds and of Sacramento, so I think it's a good idea to.
You mentioned safety. That AWAS is a pretty stout safety issue at the airport, not having a working unit. So
the AWAS we're actually working on right now, and with the way that these federal appropriations go, we probably won't even see this money until probably 2027. And so as AWAS being our priority project right now, we're hoping to have that done by next year sometime. So I would say I wouldn't necessarily try to push for that one just because I think that one will probably be something we're hoping to push through right away. However, I think with the runway rehab, that one's going to take a while to actually get completed, just based on Mercedes and I conversation with FAA in the last month, that's going to take some time to progress. There may be some funding, but that'll actually, I think, maybe improve that sell to the congressman, because the city may have some skin in the game in terms of contributing funds to that locally.
All right.
And then also, what I know that the California Prop 50 has passed and that they have redrew lines, and so a lot of people are already preparing for Gray to exit this area. How does that affect, moving forward, even from this point on?
Prop 50, if it's upheld in the courts, it won't affect this cycle of funding. Congressman Gray will still be in office and still be representing Coalinga until the next election cycle, which is November of 2026. So he will still be your congressman during this appropriation cycle.
Okay, and let's say we pick 2 of these to go to the state and we pick 2 of them to go to the feds. Could you get us up there sometime in January, a couple of us, to speak with our representatives in Sacramento
And then I think we were talking
Yes.
sometime in March to go and speak to the feds. Was that the
Yes,
timeline we were
absolutely.
speaking about? Yeah? So that being said, and what we've talked about right now, what recommendations would you have for us if we were to split the two up so that we're not overlapping funding requests?
So I apologize for the confusion. I would recommend submitting potentially up to 2 projects to Congressman Gray and 2 projects to federal senators Padilla and Schiff. So submitting 4 total projects to Congress.
Oh, okay.
At the state level, different conversation, but the state earmark process is a little bit different. We will still submit these projects to your state delegation as well.
Oh, so we're going to go Senate and Congress then? Both of our members on both sides?
Yes, in the House of Representatives and in the Senate, correct.
Okay.
So what I can do is I'll take
Which projects would you suggest pushing to each one? I mean, I'm sure you know the dynamics of the senators and the Congress, right?
Yes, so I'll, based on conversation tonight, I'll take, I'll take 5 of these projects, start circulating them with your members in Congress. Where'd it go? The water treatment plant filtration systems, SCADA upgrades, wash water tank, and also add in the gas pipeline as well. So 6 total to start socializing, and then including the two of the airport projects, the runway and the hangar construction as well. And then I'll come back to Sean, start working with the city based on feedback from Congressman Gray's office, Senators Padilla and Schiff's offices on potentially 4 of those to submit.
Okay.
You guys comfortable with that?
Are you guys, council, comfortable with that?
I think these are good projects. Yeah.
All right. Perfect. We appreciate, all your guidance and your help, and we look forward to meeting with you in person soon. And do we need a motion on this?
No,
just direction,
I think I've got it,
consensus?
yeah.
All right. Thank you so much, Spencer. Have a good
Wonderful.
day.
Appreciate you
Thank
being
you,
on
you
with
as
us
well.
late.
All right. So, we're going to move back to the actual item that was 6.1, which is the fire station needs an assessment report.
Killing me.
All right. Good evening. So this is a fire station needs assessment report. This was a future agenda item at the request of Councilman Hedgecock. I want to thank Councilman Hedgecock for being patient and understanding during this, because I believe you requested it a while ago, and once we got into the weeds, it took a little while, but I'm here to present it tonight. So the Coalinga Fire Department was asked by council to evaluate the viability of establishing a second fire station to improve response coverage and alleviate operational congestion at the existing facility at 300 West Elm Avenue. While immediate construction is not essential, the current station faces overcrowding, staffing challenges, and future growth pressures that must be addressed through long-term planning. This report not only reviews the viability of potential second station sites, but also provides a strategic framework for how the city should evaluate fire station needs in the future. By establishing clear criteria, triggers, and planning phases, the city can avoid being caught unprepared as demand grows. This needs assessment evaluates the viability of establishing a second fire station at the Coalinga Municipal Airport at the request of Councilman Hedgecock, compared to the current central location located at 300 West Elm. The study considers response times, geographic coverage, infrastructure readiness, and strategic benefits. Preliminary analysis indicates the airport site may support regional response capabilities, especially within our EMS division, but it is less than ideal for urban core fire suppression coverage. So the purpose of this study is not to recommend an immediate construction project, but to provide a decision-making framework to the council that ensures the city of Coalinga is prepared for future fire service and EMS demands. By setting clear criteria, monitoring trends, and identifying potential sites early, the city can avoid being behind the curve when growth, call volume, or operational limits demand action. I would much rather be proactive than reactive. Okay, so first thing we had to establish was what's the criteria for fire station needs assessment. So a fire station needs assessment should be initiated when one or more of the following conditions occur. Operational performance decline. Response time benchmarks based off of NFPA 1710 are not consistently met across the service area. First due unit reliability falls below 90% due to concurrent incidences. The second would be call volume growth. So if we have sustained annual growth in EMS and fire incident strains, current staffing or deployment models. The third would be any geographic expansion, so new subdivisions, commercial, industrial zones, or annexations that create response gaps beyond the 4 to 6 minute standard. Any facility overcrowding. The existing station cannot safely or effectively house personnel, apparatus, or equipment. A risk profile changes, which means the introduction of new high-risk occupancies such as schools, hospitals, prisons, industrial plants that require faster first due coverage. Any strategic or regional needs that increased reliance on mutual aid or the opportunity to support any neighboring jurisdictions. So in short, if your current station can't provide fast, reliable coverage to all or parts of your jurisdiction due to distance, workload, or growth, that's the trigger for a second facility. If you meet any one of these criterias, you should do a station needs assessment, and we meet multiple of these. Okay. So what are the components of a needs assessment? So a well-rounded fire station needs assessment should examine both quantitative data and qualitative factors. Key components includes response performance analysis, like I said, the NFPA 1710 compliance guidelines, which is 4 minutes for fire suppression and 6 minutes for EMS response. GIS mapping of 4, 6, and 8 minute travel zones, and first due reliability and unit availability during simultaneous incidences. Second would be call volume and demand projections, so historical and EMS fire trends, peak hour call load analysis, growth forecast tied to housing, industry, and demographics. Facility capacity review, so apparatus bay capacity versus fleet size, dorm and crew accommodations, training and support space adequacy. Risk assessment, concentration of high-risk occupancies, wildland-urban interface exposure, regional hazards such as transportation corridors or industrial facilities. We would need to do a site analysis, so evaluation of proposed locations to include response coverage, access, and land availability, regulatory or any environmental constraints. Cost and staffing models, so any capital cost outlay, station, apparatus, land, any staffing implications, any new hires or just reallocation of existing personnel, and then potential cost sharing with developers or regional partners. Important to have community and stakeholder input. So engagement with residents, councils, schools, healthcare providers, and neighboring jurisdictions. What is the public's perception of service expectations and their willingness to support an investment into a new facility? So our current conditions in Coalinga right now, our staffing, we have 1 battalion chief, 6 suppression personnel per shift, plus 2 EMS non-safety per shift. That gives us 7 people at the facility. Occasionally, Huron inconsistency with staffing there will force those 2 individuals to relocate back to Coalinga, and it causes overcrowding of personnel and apparatus. Our apparatus capacity, we have 7 bays with 11 apparatus. We have 2 additional apparatus on the way. So upcoming additions is going to further exceed the design intent of the facility. Call volume. We grew from 2,800 calls in fiscal year 2021-22 to over 3,600 calls in fiscal year 24-25, with concurrency already stressing reliability. And then our coverage. Our SOC, standards of cover analysis, if you remember back in 21-22, for those that were here, our standards of covered analysis showed compliance of 82% for fire and 88% for EMS. I can tell you since that study, we have increased to about 85 and 90, but it's right at or just below the NFP standards. And then there's certain subdivisions and industrial parks that fall outside the ISO engine response requirements. So a site analysis was done. Battalion Chief Long, who was going to be here tonight and then got sick and wasn't able to show up, was responsible for this component. He actually got in his vehicle, with a stopwatch and drove around with posted speed limits to figure out times to each location to give us kind of a site analysis and response area. So the airport site, it's suitable for second or augmented response, mutual aid, wildland staging, and apparatus housing. It's not optimal for any first due fire response in the urban core due to the distance from the heart of Coalinga. So we looked at alternative sites. Alternative sites would be Jane Avenue, Position-A, Juniper Ridge, and Industrial Park that provide better urban coverage and redundancy for central Coalinga. And there's some maps here. Okay. Oh, shoot, it's too small. So where's the laser? Okay, so you can kind of see the faint yellow line, yellow circle right here. This is current station location. So this is the engine response that can cover right now. The pink circle is the ladder response coverage. You get an additional 2 minutes for a ladder truck. And then these two circles are our mutual aid. So this is the Cal Fire Station, and this is the Pleasant Valley State Hospital. So you can see we are able to cover Coalinga right now. We are barely just missing this area right here by Best Western with the engine, but it's just on the outskirts. So we are meeting current demand. So Chief Long ran some data and plotted some things and determined that this would be optimal. So what this is this inner black circle would be the optimal location for a second station should the city grow this direction to the east, especially in the industrial area. And then this circle, somewhere in here, we should place a station if our growth goes to the north, especially with any increased residential up in here. So these are optimal locations. You can see the airport is right here. It's not really optimal and did not meet the criteria for us to place a facility. By the pink circle has moved the ladder truck to where rather than placing it at this station, if in the future there was a second station, we would put the ladder truck there because A, this is all industrial area, but now we are covering all of Coalinga still, and now we can capture the airport. So if you guys remember, back in May of this year, we received our ISO grading score. In the report, the fire department fell short of an ISO rating of 2, scoring 79.33 out of 100. A score of 80 would have moved the department to a Class 2 rating. We are currently a 3. There are only 185 Class 2 departments in California. A Class 2 rating signifies a high level of fire protection, placing the department in the top 7% of all evaluated fire departments in the United States. So some of the findings from the report recommended improvements in the following area, and only the first two are related to this study. So one of them was the response area to large potential occupancies, and that was the industrial area on the previous map that we're not quite meeting. So that was one of the recommendations. And then staffing of additional fire apparatus due to the extended ETA of our automatic engine responses. Those two engines out at Cal Fire and Pleasant Valley Prison do not meet the NFP standard for mutual aid response in time to us. They get there, it's just not within the appropriate standard. So the number one thing, cost and staffing, right? So preliminary cost estimates. So based on California right now, Chief Long did some research, and a 2 to 3 bay fire station that's concrete, a typical what you see fire station, likely requires a capital investment in the range of $10 to $15 million. That includes the facility, any additional personnel and equipment. And Chief Long, the fiscally responsible man that he is, said, no way, we can do it cheaper. So he started researching some stuff, and he was able to find some companies and find some other cities, like a small rural like us, in other states and stuff, that can do 2 to 3 bay either residential or metal tilt-up design for approximately 1 to 2 million. The good thing for us is for the equipment part, we don't need to purchase any more equipment. We would reallocate equipment to the other station. We wouldn't really need any more personnel because we would be reallocating personnel. So that 10 to 15 million typical for California for a larger city or whatever to build a fire station. The reason why they're building it is because they're increasing staffing, increasing personnel, increasing equipment. We're not in that position. We are in the position of just expanding because we're overcrowded and filling up. So those are just some cost and staffing issues. So the conclusion and recommendation is, as I said, this is just an informational report. I'm not asking for any direction or take action or anything unless after this report you want to provide me with some direction and action. I just wanted to give you some information. So while immediate construction of a second fire station is not essential, Coalinga has already exceeded the design and staffing capacity of its current station. Overcrowding, concurrency, and growth pressure means that planning must begin now. I mean, we do need to think about this. While the airport location offers strategic advantages for regional response and special operations, it is not the optimal location as the primary second fire station due to suboptimal urban coverage and increased EMS response times to core of Coalinga. A more central secondary site within city limits should be pursued for enhanced public safety coverage. So next steps for engagement. To strengthen future planning, the city should consider structured community engagement. We should probably look at doing a public workshop, residential surveys, interview with stakeholders, etc. Engagement with staff, neighboring jurisdictions will ensure that the chosen approach reflects both operational needs and public expectations. And that is my report for you. Like I said, I don't have any requests for action or direction, but if you have any questions for me or you would like to direct me for anything, I'm here for you.
Yeah, I appreciate all the work you put into that.
Thank you.
That's a lot of information, and it's good to have it on file when we do need to do something.
Wow, this is a lot, and this is a good job on all of your part for doing this. This is amazing. I know that some of us were probably hoping the airport looked a little bit better. Well, the thing is it could be a money generator.
So
because CAL FIRE and wildfires aren't going away. So utilizing that spot, that would bring viability to the airport, and they could potentially land planes there to refuel, and that's money. And that's what I totally, we want to make sure the Coalinga is protected, but it doesn't make sense from a standpoint of protection for fire services to do that.
Yes, sir.
But maybe it would make sense if we could work with our partners to try and get grants and whatnot to try and for the state of California. And that's might be something we'll work with Townsend on to try and see. We are looking for something that we can work with our state partners on. He was talking about working with the feds on the other things, but maybe we could work with the state partners on this. So what I would ask is maybe don't like keeping this, not disregarding this at all, but maybe it's just like an add-on that we say, hey, can we get information about how we could build something at the airport that would affect for specifically for helping with the wildfires. And if that's
you want to take that, or
and if that's something that would benefit us.
We got to get some Jet A out there for the wildfire people.
So a couple things I wanted to add that's not in the report is it's not optimal for fire service, right? But it could work as a secondary location for EMS, which would reduce some congestion because we could reassign people. The other thing is we did receive a call shortly after the airport from CAL FIRE captain at the air operations base that wanted to know the size of our hangars. And we gave him the size of our hangars, and he never called back. So we took that as a sign that we need to keep working on this and reach out to them and find out, hey, okay, you called, like, what size do you need? Maybe we can help you. Maybe we can accommodate that. Maybe we can find grants and stuff to help both agencies and partner with them to be able to do stuff like that. So that's something that's not in the report that I wanted to add.
So maybe we could give direction for you guys to follow up on that, and then keep this close. And if you see like when it becomes a more immediate need, that we can start working on this, because I know that
the station's overcrowded.
Yes, sir.
You know, we need extra places for all of our stuff, for our people too, right?
Yeah. Well, that's the reason why we had to remodel the bathroom, is because we only had 2 bathrooms because it was designed for 5 to 6 people. We're at 9 people, and now we have a lot of females as well, and so we had to add bathroom facilities. In fact, next budget we're probably going to need to do the downstairs bathroom. Right. So we are busting at the seams, as you would say.
So that would just be my ask. Council, have anything to add on to that we might want to add to the direction? Right, if you think of something else, feel free, bring it back to us, but I think that'll be the direction at the moment.
Okay, great, thank you, appreciate it.
Thank you so much. All right. We're gonna move on to item number 6 point, which is, it's gonna be called the update on commercial vehicle parking and enforcement, because we're all over the place on this.
Thank you, Mayor. We're ready. Let me get to the top of this thing. So the City Council has asked PD and code enforcement to look at the status of commercial vehicle parking within the city, both in the public right-of-way and on private property within the city limits. Over the past year, the city has experienced an increase in complaints regarding commercial vehicles, particularly heavy trucks within both the residential and the commercial zones, which is specifically prohibited by the Coalinga Municipal Code. So city staff from PD, the chief and I, and working with code enforcement and Commander Young, have been developing a coordinated approach to address the vehicle parking violations in both the public and the private areas. PD continues to enforce the commercial vehicle parking violations in the clearly signed locations of the public right-of-way, off of the state highways, and officers are issuing citations under the existing municipal code provisions when the trucks exceed the allowable weight limits. As enforcement has increased, staff has observed commercial vehicles relocating to avoid citations. Notably, the trucks are now parking on Jane, near Merced, and within the industrial park area. These locations are being monitored, and staff will evaluate whether additional signage or targeted enforcement would be the next step. Enforcement on private property, a significant number of complaints from an unauthorized commercial vehicle parking on private commercial properties. And enforcement on private property requires proper signage, which city staff has provided to our property owners of those affected areas. And we have had positive feedback from those property owners agreeing to post that signage so that we will be able to cite with both administrative and vehicle code citations in those locations. That would typically be a code enforcement function, not a PD function, as we've discussed. Staff is currently working with owners to standardize the signage. We do have that signage approved by the city attorney's office, and we are moving forward with that. Staff believes the current commercial parking regulations adopted in 2019 are sufficient. No amendments to the ordinance appear necessary. Staff anticipates providing a more detailed information update during the meeting, including current enforcement data and trends, newly observed parking locations, sign installation progress, options for providing legal truck alternatives, and direction regarding towing. So towing has been a point of contention. The statute, or I'm sorry, I don't know if the statute's the right word, the law regarding the location of the tow yard must be within 10 miles of the tow location, and currently there is not a tow company capable of towing the commercial vehicles within 10 miles. So that's currently something we're working with some of our partners in the tow industry to rectify. But at this point, we do not have a good alternative.
So we're really having to focus heavily on citations right now. But once the signs are up, we'll be able to start issuing those citations. But yeah, the tow issue, I know Sean did some research when it came to talking to the local tow companies and the challenges that they have about towing those vehicles, because they do have to have a tow yard within 10 miles.
What is that? Is that state?
Oh, what was the,
some
what
sort
code
of
section
state
was it,
code?
Sean? I was looking at my notes.
Their regulations, but it's just for private property tows. So if we tow as law enforcement, we're good. For private property, so tractor supply calls, they have to have a yard so close to the city before they do private property tow, a private person to have a tow.
Okay.
So with the signs up, we'll be able to tow, but we'll, as long as we have authorization from the property owner, the police department can tow off of the private property with the signage.
Okay.
Yeah.
We've actually had some really good results from the target areas, the old Kmart parking lot and the Save Mart parking lot. I don't want to speak out of turn, but I want to say we haven't had any instances of that in the last couple of weeks. So I think word's getting out to the truck drivers, and they're relocating to the industrial area, which at this point, we're asking the city council, is that an acceptable area? Is that something that we, as a city, want to allow, or maybe allows the wrong word, not as strictly enforced, because at some point, our issue as a community is, where do we ask them to go? So.
Well, we don't, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I got a question. Does the city have any land outside of town that could be used for truck parking, that we could maybe sell permits to the truck drivers to park somewhere that wouldn't bother the community?
Airport.
The old, I mean,
Funny.
well, somewhere, I mean, if there's somewhere close enough to town that we control the property, and then charge them a monthly, permit fee to park there. And instead of people
Sure, that could be full
parking
of
in town,
liability.
we could make some revenue.
I don't know if we have anything close enough, because a lot of their issue is they want to be close to in town. Anything outside the city limits, they're pretty much, they're going to want to be closer. I don't think we have anything really that's viable within like the city limits. I don't know of the liability. I think we've discussed a lot about potential liability of running that type of operation. But I don't know if we have a piece of property that large that we own within like a close geographic boundary that would be appropriate for that type of activity. It'd have to be further out of town.
Don't we still control some by the old airport, in between the county, where the county has their drop for their material, and
It's all Granite and Chevron that owns that property now.
we don't have any of that frontage anymore?
So what about the property that is next to the waste site?
Oh, the asbestos site?
Yep, the one that's on the opposite end of the Pacific Apartments. It's a little bit down the ways a little bit, but
Right behind the apartments.
There is some property out there. We have the trail out there there's future, land use wise, most of it's all, there's some residential and then commercial. I think there is some industrial property, but it'd have to be probably south of the asbestos site. I think it's old, redevelopment property.
well, first off, I want to commend the staff and the police department and code enforcement. I've seen a monstrous change. I have Post Cheney, there's signs and people are abiding by them. I haven't seen as many. I've seen that's been huge, and I've actually heard some things from the community that they're actually really happy with that, with the enforcement of it. So I do agree that in looking over the ordinance, it seems like it was just, we didn't have a lot of enforcement behind it. So now that we're doing the enforcement, now that we have the signs up, whatever we had to do to make point A to point B work seems to be working. So now, as you've stated, they've moved to the industrial place. Now the complaints that I'm getting from there are that they're not only in the industrial place, they're going farther behind into where what is the area?
It's the end of Juniper Ridge.
The end of Juniper Ridge, and they're parking in that area, and the residents are unhappy about that. So, one of the things is that when Next Green Wave was open, they didn't want them parking there because they were taking parking from the people that were there, and they felt like they were going to wreck the road. Which, if you go out there and look, there's potholes everywhere, so the road probably is not sufficient. But if there was going to be a place that I would say that we would have lax enforcement, that would be the spot, but also understanding that, hey, it shouldn't be farther down
on Juniper, where I'm even getting complaints, and then on Sandalwood, on the very back ends of Sandalwood and the very back ends of Juniper, the people, they feel like that they aren't seen, and so unless someone complains and people aren't, I've sent people to the app and I've told them, hey, there's an app, but people don't want to complain on their neighbors. So those are the two areas right now that I've seen that they've moved to, and unfortunately, the neighbors are complaining because they're saying that they can't go outside and sit outside because the diesel smell just permeates. And then the sound too, that sound. And I've actually experienced that right across from my street where they sit there and then I'm sitting outside and I can smell it. So I understand, what they're saying. But like I said, if there was an area that would be lax enforcement, I think that area would be. Also, the people that own the truck stop outside of town on Jane, they've been inviting them to come out there, but as Sean said, they don't want to go out there because they don't think it's safe. They don't think that they can leave their truck out there. Plus, it's a distance barrier to go back and forth. And I know that we've been trying to talk with people in town about, hey, how can we create something in town? I don't think we've had any luck with that. But I can tell you that at Council of Governments in Fresno, that other cities are dealing with this too, and they are not moving in favor of allowing it. They are moving in favor of not allowing it. Places that don't have ordinances are now coming up with them because they're noticing how much damage that they do to the streets. And so, that it's not that we don't want to allow them into those areas, but just like any other business, you have to have a space. And it's unfortunate the city we don't have that. And so if there's not a private entity that is going to provide that, I don't know what other alternative that we could give. But that'd be just my suggestion. If we were going to do some kind of lax enforcement, it would be into that industrial area, but also paying attention to the backsides of Sandalwood and Jane to make sure that they don't go back into that area as well. And Next Green Wave is, from what I understand, they're shutting down, or they already have shut down. So, that's not saying somebody else won't come through and try and take it over, but it could be a temporary solution.
Is there any signage down in the Juniper Ridge area, in the areas that are reported?
I don't believe so. No.
Maybe we could get some
Maybe
signs
put
in
some
there?
signage there,
Yeah.
and then not so much.
Yeah, that'd be a great idea.
Yeah, we'll be happy to look at that.
Yeah, we can check that gate too, because there is that when the road ends on Juniper Ridge as it goes further south to the city limits. I can even see on the map here that looks like that gate's they usually put up that wooden blockade. Looks like that blockade's open. So obviously vehicles are probably getting through that as well. So we can definitely try and repair that to ensure that they're not getting through there. Because then they're getting back behind Sandalwood on the backside of Copper.
And if most people don't know, we've moved it away from the era of hundreds of thousands to repair roads to millions. So this isn't a small thing. This is not like, hey, they could pay a fee and get out of it. This is like a huge thing. One of those roads, just the little road in between Ice Bucket and the museum, I think, what is $700,000? $700,000 for just that little stretch. And that was riddled with potholes, a lot of it caused by those trucks. So it's not that we don't support a trucking industry, it's just that we don't have the money to repair those streets. So that would just be my recommendation, the signs and then lax enforcement. Well, anyone on council have any other recommendations?
Does the hospital own any kind of land around them? Because I know I've seen some truckers parked right there in between that little first curb.
I think they're parking basically outside the city limits on that particular area, because they're just kind of south of the. I have to look to see how far our city limits goes, but I think they kind of park just to the east of the hospital in that area over there. So I've seen some park there.
I would really like to
City
see.
limit line is, I think it's, our city limit line is actually right there.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So anything to the east of that got kind of a last emergency driveway for the parking, for the regional medical center is outside the city limits.
Yeah, because I really like to see something working with them.
You need a place to park.
Yeah, they do need a place to park, and everybody's doing their job. But unfortunately, Kalinga's surrounded by these private properties, And I wouldn't like to see, truckers leaving. I mean, I know truckers stop at Kmart sometimes, to get a rest, It's just how it is, and, this state is full of truckers, and it's getting even more and more crowded. But, I would really like to focus, really see how we can do this and talk to property owners, talk to county lines, county properties, anything that could help them. I mean, if that airport was set right there before them, and Chevron and Granite owning, maybe something could be done where they don't have to do the job as long as we get it, or we with the county combine something where we could do something there. I mean, it was an old airport, and I know they took over as a land, but I know we've talked about this before, and I think some of the problems were about that we didn't have some drainage for if they leak oil or something like that. But I would really like to see something with the city and the county and the state to try to get something, work with them. So see if we could get more information with that, because I really like to see these people move. And we do that, we start doing stuff like that, we're gonna lose residents here in town. As much as, I've seen them in other towns, they're losing people because of truckers. And it's not the city's fault, it's not the truckers' fault, it's not nobody's fault. It's just, it's happening where, property owners buy stuff around, and next thing you know, you can't build something. But I would really like to concentrate, get really focused on that, trying to get them somewhere.
So that's further direction to direct staff to try and work with the locals and county agencies in order to try and find a space. And I think that's continuously ongoing, but if you guys can add that.
Yeah.
Sean, are you aware of a piece of property, West Phelps, just past the hospital that we own?
West of Phelps?
West Phelps, just past the hospital. Just past the hospital?
Just before the turn.
Right at the turn,
Right at the
right at the S turn.
Yeah.
Oh,
the
right,
one- that's
right
where
in,
they're
right in
parking.
front of the hospital on the other side, south of Phelps, right?
East
just
of,
that-
east,
that
east of the
south.
hospital.
Yes.
There is a,
There's that little first curve.
right there at the S turn, we own the property that goes, west to east. It kind of is west to east, I guess. It's basically bordering Phelps. There is a LLC that owns the property just north of that.
I believe you're talking about the, just south of the Rain LLC parcel.
Which would be south, yeah, that's south, on the south side of Phelps, right?
I have a generic pull up. I can't see exact boundaries.
Yeah, I think it's basically from Gregory Way. We own that parcel there, right? That fully, it fronts the Regional Medical Center, but south of Phelps, in front of the trailer park. The city owns that parcel there. I don't know, unless I looked at a map on ownership, how far that goes. That is old RDA property that the city maintains.
I know access would be tough. We also own a parcel behind the trailer park and the housing district back there also.
Then you're just throwing them back out behind the houses where, we're trying to get them away from, so.
And does that become a liability for the city if you allow people to start using the property?
It'd have to be, there's definitely gonna be liability on our part if we start allowing trucks to park on the property. But that could be done through, not to say it can't be done, but there is gonna be definitely liability. The companies would have to contract with the city if they're gonna plan on parking there. It's not gonna be just a free-for-all.
We got it.
So they would have to contract pay.
So would you like to have staff check out those locations as well?
Yeah.
Okay, so if we can add that to the direction as well.
Happy to do that. So just as I'm understanding the direction, you'd like us to look at possibly paid parking east of Gregory Way between Phelps and Cambridge.
Yeah. We can definitely, holistically, we can look at opportunity sites in the city and the surrounding areas. So, and based on Councilman Ramirez's request, there's other areas that might be outside of the city that we could at least, talk to the county and see if there's something. I don't know what their zoning's like around that area, if they have ag designated zones that might be able to allow for something like that. I don't know. But we can definitely look at opportunity sites in the city and maybe reach out to property owners. That's kind of just part of economic development. So we can definitely look at that and reach out to those property owners. And I think that as the city continues to enforce it, there's going to be a desire from the market to potentially want to develop this, whether we want the city to develop it or whether we can encourage a property owner to say, hey, there's a development opportunity, based on these requirements that potentially someone might be interested. I know that there has been interest from prior owners in the industrial park that might have been interested, but it kind of went away. So we can re-engage that conversation as well and see if there's opportunities out there as well. So that's definitely something we can do.
And then also add to the direction about the signs, for the signs, on the backside of Juniper and in,
Copper Canyon, I think, is way back there.
yeah, and then what was the other place? It was, Sandalwood, on the backside of Sandalwood.
Yeah, Copper
Directions
Canyon
I
is the
have
street back
here
there, yeah.
are the signage at Juniper Ridge and Sandalwood, repairing the fence, talking to the county about possible partnerships, and then also looking at the paid parking.
We have a time frame for when the signs are coming up and structure of penalties?
I don't have one off the top of my head, but I can have one for you by the next meeting.
And are we talking about being lax on the parking in the area out there until?
For the industrial zone.
in the
Yes, we
industrial
have
area
been lax.
until
We have not been enforcing there in that area.
Okay. Is everyone okay with that for the moment?
And we're monitoring it just to make sure we're not seeing
Right.
people doing oil changes and changing tires and, doing that. Cause that's what we ran into a lot of problems with before. So I've talked to the chief about doing monitoring out there, making sure that we're not seeing that kind of activity out there. And if they're just parking trailers and abiding by the regulations, we shouldn't see as much of that area be tore up. It is, the asphalt section should be a little bit more robust being an industrial park, recognizing the weight of traffic that would be potentially going through there. So if they're taking care of the area, at this point, we're not planning to bother anyone out there.
And also, in following the city's, the council's strategic beautification direction, we've been enforcing more of the non-commercial, the privately owned vehicles, and trying to clean some of those up around town too. So
RVs and things like that.
RVs and abandoned vehicles in Save Mart parking lot and things like that. We're just trying to actively be proactive in enforcing and getting those vehicles towed. So.
All right. Any more direction from council? Seeing none? Thank you so much. All right, we're gonna move on to our last discussion item, which is number 5. Council discussion, potential action to the possibility of opening the front counter at City Hall on Fridays.
Thank you. At this time, staff doesn't have a recommendation at this time, but we're just seeking direction from the council in terms of what plan the council may have or direction related to the possibility of opening City Hall or at least the front counter for Fridays. So I'm just kind of getting some information from you guys so that I can take that direction and then kind of follow up on kind of what actions we may need to take in order to address that. So
I just think it's important to have a face Monday through Friday. I think it's pretty lax as far as what you guys come up with, a floating 4 Monday through Thursday, why somebody does Tuesday through Friday, even if it's just secretary at the front desk. I think it's important to have a face for the community. And even if it's to defer Friday business to Monday, it's somebody welcoming and presenting services to the community Monday through Friday.
Yeah, that was my thought too. Is it 5 days a week, basic services through the counter, questions, phones, whatever, people pay bills. Maybe you could look at and report back for us, what the costs would be or the staffing issues or, things like that, impacts, service, contracts, whatever.
Any other direction from council? Yeah, just to see, if if it's working right now or if it's not working, or if there's anything that, if by opening on Fridays, we could, things could get done or not done, and see how much, what's the difference, what's the percentage on the whole scenario. Because I know there's sometimes these holidays start on a Thursday, and it's Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, and then, you know, we ended up with 2 days of service or 3 days of service. So I just want to see, make sure that if, you know, I mean, it's been working, but what is it that we could kind of twist, yeah.
Any other direction? All right, seeing none, we are going to move on to item number 7.1, city manager's announcements.
I have none, Mayor.
7.2.
Actually, I'm sorry.
Okay.
I have my notes here. So a couple housekeeping items for next year. So we don't have another meeting the rest of this year. However, the next meeting actually falls on January 1st. So I'm recommending that our meetings for January be on January 8th and January 22nd. It's a 5-week month, so it'll just kind of keep us on track for every other week like we typically do. So if the council's okay, we'll proceed with January 8th and January 22nd.
Good.
All right. Council members' announcements and reports.
Real quick, I'd just like to say welcome to Councilman Louder. Welcome to the jungle.
The jungle.
Be nice, be nice.
I have an announcement. I'm going to be vacating my position as of our January 8th meeting. I got a job offer in Oklahoma. I'll be moving to a red state where things get done.
So can I ask for clarification, will January 8th be your last meeting? Or are you
Yes.
going to, yes, January 8th will be your last meeting?
Yeah.
Okay.
So we're going to need to go through the same process we did for Jeremy to find a replacement.
And would you like to be involved in that process?
Yes.
Okay. Any other council members' announcements, reports?
I just want to say, some of the streets are looking good. A lot of those water wrongways are looking great. It's nice to see the progress, and once again, just telling the community, just be patient. It's about our staff and everybody going asking for money, and it's not that easy for us to get the money. As a lot of you seen, 34-point-something million went to the state hospital, and not too much for us. So that's why we take these trips. It's not a fun trip or a vacation for us. We're there talking to our representatives, trying to get money for everybody, for our community. A lot of questions asked are, well, Hanford's growing, and we see Hanford building houses and everything, but, their representative's different than us, and, sometimes, as much as we want to get for police, fire, everybody, we're doing the jobs, and now that Councilman Louder is here, he's going to be drilling these representatives too with us. So, let's do it.
Excellent. Any other council members' announcements and reports? All right. City treasurer's announcements. The treasurer is not with us tonight. Mayor's announcements. So I've been attending Council of Governments, Fresno Council of Governments, and it's been a battle over Measure C money. We're working on the next version of Measure C. We've been looking at every little thing, every little detail, talking about trying to get some flexibility for small rural cities into there, because whatever fits the larger cities. Right now, they have it set for 25% for public transportation, and we've been explaining to them that that's not going to work. Total 25% of all the Measure C money, with 70% of it going to facts. That's a large amount of money that the rural areas will likely not be able to use effectively. And when I mean effectively, I'm going to talk about that we may need to change the way our transit system is currently working. we have, for instance, with totals for Kalinga's intercity fixed route. This is for Kalinga to Fresno, stopping in Huron in a couple different places. In 24-25, we had a total of 3,949 passengers with a total cost of $366,000, and that came out to $92.77 per passenger for one trip to Fresno. So that's, people are paying we're paying as taxpayers, that amount of money, which is quite a bit if you ask me. And then if we look at, let's see here, I have these totals here. I want to bring them all up for you guys. If we look at the total for Kalinga fixed route and demand response services totals, we're looking at $609,000 a year. This is how much money Kalinga is spending on transit, and that includes the fixed route and it includes the dial-a-ride. And for a total of 9,712 passengers. And if you look at this as a whole, it's $62.74 per passenger, which a lot of that, if you look at the demand response for the dial-a-ride, 5,763 passengers. These are people that are getting rides within the city of Kalinga from point A to point B in a very, 3-mile radius, very small radius, comes out to $42.16 per ride. So if they're getting a ride from Rite Aid to their house, it's costing us $42.16. I raised all heck about this. I said we're not going to continue down this path in this style. So we may need to think of some good solutions of how we're going to spend the money, because looking at about $609,000, there'll probably be that much money if Measure C continues to go forward. So there's been some ideas on solutions, microtransit, kind of like Uber, that could be a lot cheaper and be a lot more effective. There've been the talk about a fixed transit system that actually has buses that run in Kalinga, that would run down Main Street, that would help kids get to school, that would have fixed times up and down, go out to the state hospital, go out to the airport, things of that nature. These are just conversations, but I'm sure this is going to come forward back to us. So I wanted to bring that up now. Because we've really been going to battle on the Measure C. And one of the major things that we're working on is the flexible funding out of the 25%. So out of that 25%, how much money could we use in creating nexuses to public transportation, but maybe not directly public transportation? Maybe being able to spend more of that money on local streets that may have a nexus to transportation. So what I've been working on is trying to get transportation money in. I think Chuck, that's sitting back there, he's our loyal soldier, and he is on the steering committee. Correct, Chuck? That is correct. Yes, and we've been working on this, and it's very tiring, and we have so many different groups of people that are working on this, all with competing interests. And so, but I just wanted to give everyone an update on that. We are working for the people on this. So hopefully that we'll be able to bring something back that, and actually I'm going to address the situation with Measure C funding state roads. They're talking about moving the regional connectivity down to 5%. And one of the major things with that is that a lot of the groups feel that why should the local money being used to fund state roads, which on the state side, our representatives of the states say, well, guess what? They aren't going to start magically funding state roads, so they're just going to, go downhill. But this is kind of a leverage maneuver. Like, hey, we're going to take away this funding from those state roads, and we're going to move them to the local. How it sits right now, Kalinga will get about double the amount of money to fix roads. That'll equal potholes, bike lanes, things of that nature. And of course, there's some very radical groups that want us to spend a lot of money on bike lanes, and we're trying to lessen that amount. That's where the flexibility comes in for rural cities. Things that don't make sense for a rural city that would make sense in Fresno, we're asking for flexibility. So those are kind of some of the things we're working on. So with that being said, we'll move on to future agenda items.
I've got one. Can we get a traffic study done on Sacramento from Forest to Worthen at the intersections of Louisiana and Barker? I get a lot of complaints from citizens over there about fast-moving vehicles through those intersections. Nobody slows down. So whether it's something to deter speed, like speed bumps or stop signs, or, you know, whatever's needed, can we take a look at that? Thank you.
Any other future agenda items? I don't know if it's a future agenda, but I just want to get information about what Caltrans, when is Caltrans gonna start doing their stuff?
Which stuff?
The road, Polk and, yeah.
Yeah, I'll get an update. They have monthly meetings. It's supposed to start in spring. So I will, I'll give you guys an update on the schedule.
And staff, you guys,
Heard from them in a while.
you guys do have, like, in case they're doing something that you guys could, you know, kind of language them and, oh, okay, this will work better, or they just have it set already?
What?
Their project.
The plan? We've been working with them quite a while on the
Okay.
plans. The plan's pretty solidified.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you. Any other future agenda items?
Just to get me up to speed, fill me in, get me caught up with what's going on in my district, Cedar Street, the ADUs. Just fill me in, let me know what's going on.
Sure.
All right, and then this isn't a really future agenda item, it's just kind of like, we need to get the traffic trailer out back on Jane Street for speed control. I've been complaining to Caltrans and trying to work with them to try and find nexuses to mitigating factors that allow them to slow the speed down coming into town where the city of Coalinga sign is to 45, rather than having that be, you know, 55 all the way in until it hits that 35. Because we continue to have accidents there. They've done a speed study on there. They said, you know, most of the people are not, you know, speeding, and we don't have enough traffic to get, you know, what we need. And I said, yeah, but it's the outliers. It's the people that are going 80 that are not slowing down. And they said, well, if we put a sign in that says 45 and they're not doing the 55 now, what's going to make them do 45? And so I said, okay, yeah. So they made the idea that they're going to try and work on is some kind of radar system that could sit out there and kind of like just be a kind of a buffer. But in that meantime, if we could get the speed trailer out there and maybe some enforcement. Yeah, no, I know. I'm just, you know, kind of getting out there, you know, that's an area of contention, so.
You talking about Jane?
Yeah, on Jane.
Coming
Yeah,
into town.
Coming into town. We had another accident. There was an accident on the Merced and Jane coming in, where there was a vehicle by the PG&E station that was kind of parked, and then somebody else came through and they slowed down abruptly, and then all the rest of them ended up on the corner, and a couple of them hit each other. And so it's a routine scenario out there where these types of things continuously happen. So we're just trying to find a way to fix that. So, any other future agenda items? All right. We're going to move into closed session where we have 4 items. Number 1, 9.1, real property negotiations, Government Code 54956.8, conference with real property negotiations. Conference with labor negotiators, anticipated litigation, number 3, Government Code 54956.9, 1 case DG construction, and then number 4, city manager's performance evaluation. And with that being said, do we report, are we
No,
going to report anything out?
no, Mayor.
All right, meeting adjourned.